Good evening, everyone. March 8th, 2022, Easton Historic Commission meeting, call it to order. Our first call to order is the Zoom rules. Wayne, have you got, I don't have that in front of me.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Please.
posted with the agenda on the second page of the agenda, the remote meeting procedures, in keeping with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency as amended by Governor Baker on February 12, 2022. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board and commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count toward quorum. The meeting may be broadcast live and will be recorded on ECAT.
Thank you. First of order is to vote Mickey. No, you want attendance first, Wayne?
Yeah, please, if the members could state their name.
Hurley, present.
Bishop, present.
Majid Lashkari, present.
Both present.
That's it for now, right?
Correct, yes.
Motion to promote Bishop and Wolf to voting members.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, so that's Hurley motioned and Lashkari second.
Hurley, yes.
So a roll call vote to designate Bob Bishop and Mickey Wolf as voting members for tonight's meeting.
Hurley, yes.
Bishop, yes.
Majid, yes.
I think
Wolf,
Mickey's
yes.
muted. There she is.
Thank you. Great. Okay.
Oh. I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm afraid I'll lose.
Oh, you don't have it, Tim?
Well,
Okay.
I'm afraid of losing you here. But hold on. Well, and I got the wrong glasses. Oh, minutes. A review of the minutes of the last meeting, January 20, 2022. If everyone's good with it, we need a motion to accept.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Second.
Early second. Okay, make a second.
Okay, I heard Wolf second. Okay,
Yep.
roll call vote.
All in favor, Hurley, aye.
Bishop, yes.
Majid, yes.
Wolf, yes.
Thank you.
All right, I just got a note that Greg's having trouble getting on.
Oh, how frustrating for him.
So he is,
Okay, so Greg Strange has just texted Tim Hurley that he's having trouble accessing the Zoom meeting, and he will keep trying and then call in 5 minutes, presumably just as an audio call, and take it from there.
so let's skip to the Haywood Pool stuff because that's not an action item anyway. Right?
Sure.
And that's nothing I've said I would do it. I've not because of COVID or whatever. I hate to say, use that as the lame excuse, but it's kind of fact. It's kind of a door-to-door issue. So when the time comes, I will get out there as it allows. I think Wayne and I talked earlier. Maybe it's just talk to the people, let them know what's going on. It looks like, is he ready here? No, he's going to be lookout for audio call. I'm sorry. And Wayne said, you know, we got the 300th coming up the road here, so it'd be good to I don't know if you know, the thought is tie it in with that, or at least have that part of the celebration or whatever ends up being. So that's just the update on that stuff.
So I'm hearing, Tim, that you're proposing doing a walkthrough and just knocking on the doors of the, is it 5 residences and the cemetery, right? So just the 5 houses that are in it and talking to the folks.
Yeah, I'm getting no response from the cemetery at all.
Yeah, they're a little silent.
They're all stoned.
So I'm hearing that you, Tim, are gonna just introduce yourself. Do you have a timeline for when you might do that?
You know, the air's kind of clear now. I guess anytime at this point I could go up there. And it's not, they all know me, so it's not like it's, you know, there's no surprise. I think we just want to, I don't know, do I want to, there's 2 that are family members of Haywood Pool. one Hayward, one Pool, direct descendant. So I think I'd like to get the enterprise involved and maybe just do a Sunday blurb or something on it. If everybody thinks that's the way to go. I mean, I'm open to any thoughts.
I think it'd be good to at least accent the district and also show some town interest as well.
Yeah, well, that would, hopefully, well, who knows if it would excite anyone or not, but it's a job, a task done. So we should celebrate ourselves, congratulate ourselves.
Here's Greg. Awesome.
Is he on phone or video?
I'm going to promote him to panelist.
Okay.
Got his hand raised. Let's see if I can actually promote him. Trying, okay. Excellent. Okay, so Greg joined at 6:38.
Started at 6:25.
You got there, perseverance.
Forgive my lateness. I don't know. I've been in Zoom all day. I don't know what the deal was, but anyways, thank you for.
So Greg, we skipped beyond 5:55, knowing that, this is, you want to give a little presentation here, I believe, on this fence thing. So if everybody's all set, are we good to go with that, Wayne?
Yeah, so let's recap the Hayward Pool Local Historic District action items are Tim is going to stop by in the next couple of weeks and talk to each of the residents of the 5 houses that are in the local historic district. I've heard there's interest in doing a press release for the newspaper. Do we know who would draft that? Would you reach out to Ed Hands or?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd let him do the historic part, and then I would, if any of the residents want to chirp in, I would have the enterprise, come over and talk with them, maybe take a couple pictures.
Okay, so Tim, I'm hearing you'll be in touch with Ed Hands and ask if he'd do a press release.
Yeah.
And then you can follow up and we can try and coordinate that. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Great. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, all right, that's enough to be going by with, and we can probably next month talk a little bit more about it and see where we are with the press release.
Yeah, I should have
any other events for the 300th anniversary. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I guess the 555 Foundry Street CPA application for the historic iron fence.
Okay, this is more or less why we called the meeting tonight, is to try to get, Greg has asked that we got together to create, hopefully, a letter of support for the restoration of the iron fence at 555 Foundry. I think everybody's familiar with it. You drive by, it's kind of like, iconic. But anyhow, I'll let Greg take over and make his presentation here. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, so I had a whole presentation ready to go, and I don't know what. So here's what I'm going to share my screen if you guys don't. Well, actually, first let me do this. Okay, so for clarity, as some of you may know, probably most of you know, I'm the planning board rep on the CPA, but that doesn't preclude us from being able to give presentations for projects. And originally, the property owner at 555, Rick Lincoln, was going to present tonight, but he is on vacation. He left today for vacation, and his flight got delayed, so we don't have the technology to bring him in from 35,000. So I will be your pilot for tonight. And so, back, if you recall, real quickly, last year, the town of Easton approved a rezoning of the Furnace Village District, which runs from Five Corners all the way up to basically to Target, or almost to the Mansfield line. And it was a combination of about 2 to 3 year effort. And in that, we came up with 5 separate zones, because when you think of that stretch of road, it's sort of a checkerboard. It's a mix of commercial and then some industrial and some open space and historical and residential and back to commercial. So knowing that sewer had gone in there and looking to create some economic development and certainly some historic preservation and maybe enhancement, we brought a few things into the Furnace Village residential district, which you can think of, it starts pretty much where the pond is and captures the houses in that vicinity and the houses around the Pequantucket area, and then up to but where I'll call it the subway building, where the subway shop is. And so in there, we came up with some ways for property owners to increase their density if they were properties that were within the National Historic District, and if they would either continue to preserve their structure or enhance it. Some of the historic homes have vinyl siding, or they've lost sort of the historic features through the years, but if they brought those back. So Rick Lincoln and his firm, Rick's also the same developer who is working on our Easton's first compact neighborhood, which will be 42 homes right at the end of the intersection of Pequantucket and Foundry. So right across the street from that is the Drake Leach Belcher house, which we think of as the large white house on the corner. So you mind if I share my screen? This won't be the best presentation. I presented something better, but instead of watching you folks watch me screw around with my computer. So I take it you now see my messy desktop. So let's do a couple things. So here's how the structure exists today at 555 Foundry. And so Mr. Lincoln is going in, and he is, in return for allowing him to make this a duplex, a top and bottom, it's going to be condos, top floor and bottom floor. He is bringing the building back to some of its original glory. He's pulling off this non-period portico. He's going to be enhancing and repairing. There's a beautiful leaded glass entranceway here. He's going to be putting in a period stone masonry stairway. The windows now have 2.5 interior colonial casing. He'll be pulling that off and replacing it with period substantial molding and historical sills. And he's also going to be on the rear part of the property adding a very nice historically accurate two-car garage. And then to the right of this, on a separate project, again tied into the same zoning, 2 more building lots were created, smaller lots. So they're 15,000 square feet, so roughly 1/3 of an acre. And in return for those, again, people say, "Oh, you're letting them build everywhere." No, what we're doing is, you think of this stretch. There's quite a bit of federal and colonial revival architecture in there. Some really nice details that have survived in this neighborhood and include sort of the South Street neighborhood. So recently, 2 lots have been added in here, but he gave the planning board and the historical chimed in too. He gave us approval over the architectural design, and he came up with 2 very nice. Worked with us a bit. We had to tweak it a little bit, but 2 nice period style homes will be going in there. So further enhancing the historical look of the neighborhood. And click on this. So here's another view looking west. And as many of you probably know, over in this vicinity, Swift Park, there's a park here. Many people haven't known that. There's a group put together looking to create a park in there, and people more educated on that project can speak better than I. But so think of it as planners, what we're trying to do is look ahead. And so over here, right here to the left, where I'm waving with the mouse, that's where the compact neighborhood is that Mr. Lincoln's putting in. And that is going to be made of, like I said, 42 houses, all nice, varied periods of New England architecture. Again, we get architectural approval on it. We've been working with him, and he's putting a clubhouse in, which is really exciting. We've been working with him. At first, it was just kind of a generic look. Now we've we've kind of brainstormed together, and he's going to put up sort of the remnants of an old foundry, and create a clubhouse in there, and then there'll be an enclosed area with brick walls and big openings. And he's going to have DeAngelis create some nice cast iron signage to kind of tie into the look of the neighborhood. So and part of Rick's mitigation package for the town, he is going to be, first of all, he's giving land here to allow Route 106. We'll probably see it widened within 10 years. The state's just starting to get into the grant process, where we'll see sidewalks, bike lanes, and enhanced features such as shade trees, maybe some benches, really make this a truly walkable neighborhood all the way up from the Target area in Avalon, all the way down to Five Corners. And Rick's also going to be installing, at his expense, a traffic light here in turning lanes. So that's a huge, anybody that travels in this area knows that's really a huge upgrade. And he gave substantial money towards the engineering of this. So it's a really good package for the town. So anyways, Rick, earlier, well, late in 2021, contacted us and was talking about his plans for this building. And at first he said, no, maybe, what the fence is, needs a little work, but it's awful expensive, or, maybe, he said some people had talked about maybe saving parts of it and putting it in parts of town. And, many of us that are historically minded thought, boy, it should really stay with the property. If you look at some of these old pictures, you can see this, originally this portico wasn't here, or this front porch, but so this picture is from 1888, and you can see that fence has been there. And it was made from that fence was created at the Leach Drake Foundry, which was right at the head wall of New Pond. And so it came from the neighborhood. And I know attached to the application were some letters from some nice write-ups from Frank Menino and Ed Hands, two of the sort of leading historians here in town. And there's a great story. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but a great story how, Furnace Village really was one of the first neighborhoods in town, especially with the industry. And that's why it's been recognized by the federal government. And so the more we've thought about it, this whole neighborhood's being restored. It's going to be enhanced when Swift Park comes along. It's going to be enhanced when the road gets, enhanced, for lack of a better word. And with and there's several other projects that folks are looking to enhance their historical value. So you can really see in five years up the road, this neighborhood is going to look fantastic. Things are going to catch fire. People are going to invest in bringing this history back. And it'll be really nice to sort of help establish a sort of a benchmark, if you will, for this neighborhood. And what better way to tell a story of history than to restore this magnificent fence, which really is one of a kind, DeAngelis Ironworks, which are here in Easton. And what a gem. They're probably the leading iron restoration firm in the country, one of the leaders in the world. And they've never seen some of the details on this fence. It was custom made by the foundry owner for his residence. And so it just seems, CPA, when we did this years ago, when you think of it, a third of it is earmarked each year, 10% for historical preservation, 10% for community housing, 10% for open space recreation. It really allows a town to be indulgent, if you will, sometimes, and by that, I mean projects that everybody would love to do, or certain people would love to do, historically minded people in this case, but wouldn't have it because it's expensive to fix these fences. They're so unique and it's a lot of work. But I think a project like this is exactly why CPA was created. And if you go back and you look at the master plan, or you look at the historic production plan, you even look at the CPA plan, they all talk about the need to invest CPA funds and to invest historical preservation in other parts of the town, not just downtown Northeastern, which obviously is resource rich with all of the Richardson buildings and the Ames mansions. This part of town has not received much funding, in part because it is there's not many remaining resources. But when you think of the more I research this, there's really quite a bit on the Furnace Village Historic District online, and this just seems a great opportunity. Look for, the game plan here would be if this does pass at CPA and pass it ultimately at town meeting, we would be creating a preservation restriction there so that this work would follow the deed and it would remain as is. These are going to be condos. They can't come out and paint it pink. They can't take it down. It has to be maintained. And Mr. Lincoln, originally he told me, he was gonna paint it. He was gonna stabilize it a little bit. And I understand the cost of this fence. I don't know if you saw the estimate for the fence. The total project cost is $283,000, and that's a fair chunk of what he paid for the building. And I understand how the economics isn't there to absorb that cost in the production of those two houses, or two housing units. But he has offered, like I said, he's offered to put up $23,000 of his own money, as explained in the application, and to cap the price. And he's also willing. He's going to do the work himself, or he's going to supervise the work, have DeAngelis do it, and then once it's done, he would be paid. So it wouldn't be something that the town would have to manage. It would be, he would take care of it. We'd come out, we inspect it. Then the funds would be released once the preservation restriction was in place. So I just want to zoom in and show you a couple pictures. Interesting. That's from 1872. You can just barely catch the bit of the fence there, but that's kind of neat. That's the Drake family. So as we zoom in, so you think of, wow, why is it 273,000? I mean, that seems crazy, right? But they're coming in by hand. They're removing the entire fence, all of the parts. They're taking it back to the shop. They'd be removing any lead paint that remains. There's not much paint remaining on this, but sandblasting it. And then there would be, let me zoom in. If you look, for example, here at this, so there's pieces missing. There's cast pieces. Each main newel post, I'll call this. There's a big fleur-de-lis, this is sort of like a giant flower. These all have to be newly cast. There's over 400 pieces that would be custom cast on this out of cast, so it's, really, you can see all the detail. Some of these are in great shape, just need to be cleaned up. Some aren't. There's finials here, fluted finials, which are missing. So there's quite a bit of restoration work, but again, done by the best firm in the country for it. And you can see it's wired together in some pieces. And unfortunately, if I could show you that right here, this is the main gate, and to see that little pivot, this is the coolest thing. This actually is a revolving gate. Think of it, it's 222 years old, but it still spins true. And DeAngelis, the president, the owner of DeAngelis, came out, and they do Harvard, they do MIT. I mean, they've worked on the White House, worked some of the most prestigious buildings in this country. They've never seen a fence like this or a gate like this. So they were really excited to work on this too. And you can see this is all one of the flaws in the design. This was a custom, one of a kind design that they did for their house. But one of the issues, so it doesn't quite. So the base, this fence has a odd bottom rail, which you can kind of see here, and it sits on granite. But the problem is that that's all rotted out or cracked in some places because cast iron can be brittle in that application. So once this is removed, Mr. Lincoln's going to go in, and any granite that needs to be repaired or replaced, or footings that need to go in, he's going to take care of that. And he's also, so he's asked, and he's agreed to put in an interpretive signage too, something that whether the Historical Commission or the Historical Society or some joint committee come up with, a sign, maybe we could have a picture, tells about the history of it, because there really is a great story here. So he's going to absorb the cost of that, absorb the cost of all the granite, concrete, excavation. And also he had budgeted $13,000 to paint and just kind of weld some of these things together. Because, from a distance, it still looks okay, right? But it's not going to give us the long, DeAngelis is going to go in and they're sandblast it, and they're going to put on preservation paint and epoxy job, which will, there'll be another 50 years out of this before it has to be worried about painting. So anyways, in summary, not my most succinct presentation. Hey, wait a minute. Let's see if I can show you this. This is the gate. I don't think this went through. Let's see. Very cool. Come on. but my computer is acting. Oh, here we go. Come on, Benny. One more try. So in summary, I want to, from the application, a couple of things that were in here, so from the community reservation plan, priorities in Easton, areas outside of the Northeastern Village, are encouraged for CPA funds. From the historic 2008 Town of Easton Historic Preservation Plan, preservation is as much about the future as the past. We work to save special places so that not only we, but our children and grandchildren have the opportunity to enjoy them, learn from them, and feel connected to our history and culture. Preserving the past is our gift to the future. Preserve the integrity of Easton's historic neighborhood, also from the production plan. And with the vision of a planner, I can look to the future, as I'm sure most of you can, and you can see with this dressed up. This has always been sort of a benchmark for this community. Anyways, when you hit the iron fence, take a left, or take a right. And this dressed up, look at how nice that fence repaired at the Lincoln Street School, across from the Rockery was. And I remember when my son, Austin, who is now a professor in Hong Kong, when he was 3 years old, I discovered for myself, I know other people knew about it, but I discovered what we called the hidden garden, which is now the gardens at Queesit that have been restored. And it was all overgrown. And it was like in a jungle. I'd never seen anything like that, but enough of the structures had survived. And I thought, wow, wasn't that fantastic? And so people years later started talking about preserving it. Folks are like, oh, what do we want to waste money on that for? Now look at that. Look how appreciated that those Queesit Gardens have become. They're one of the most visited spots in town. And I just think it's time we start to create more of these opportunities in other parts of the town. And when you really read the narratives by Frank and Ed, they are clearly do a much better job than I, but really talk about how, how important this neighborhood. And let's see if this video works. How close? Yeah. Come on, spin. And so look at that. It works true to this day, 222 years later. So pretty cool. Anyways, that's my spiel, all in one breath. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, one breath.
Hey.
Greg, now he says he's putting $23,000 into this. Then you mentioned $13,000 for paint.
That's included in the 23.
All right. So the other 10 is what, for Justin Granite, whatever?
10, yeah, 10. Well, the other 10, and it's in here. I'll read it to you. It's in the application, but I still am on narcotics following multiple surgeries, my terrible ski accident. So not to make a mistake, I'm not trying to solicit pity. There we go. So yeah, so the restoration per the DeAngelis Ironworks estimate, which is attached to the estimate, was $273,000. Site work, granite base repair, concrete footing, and landscaping at the fence, $9,200. Historic interpretive signage, $800, for a total project of $283, which Mr. Lincoln has put up $23,000.
All right. Okay. Just want to.
And then, like I say, and then he'll take the project all the way through, get it completed, and then apply for funds, for payment once it's done. Sort of the way CPA used to do it in the old days, if you will. That way, we don't have to deal with, procurement laws and delays and all the things with that. Because, and the reason this, just another thing, the reason this came up quickly is that these units are going to condo. They're currently being renovated, probably take occupancy summer, I would imagine, fall. And it was much easier to do this, when it's owned by one person. Once this goes to condo, and someone who has Mr. Lincoln has proven he's invested quite a bit of money in this community and wants to continue to work here, and has done people always think because anyway, has a 40B project before, but he's done quite a bit of diverse types of projects in town. So
Okay. So should this, the ask is a letter of approval from us. And forgive me if I didn't see it in that application, there will be a preservation restriction in place.
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in there, somewhere
Yeah.
in there.
okay, yeah, I scanned it quickly. Okay, and I have a question not relative to the fence, but please remind me before we're done here. Anyone on the fence, questions, comments? Anybody out there? Is it just you and me, Greg?
No, I see everybody.
All right, nobody has anything?
They don't want any questions because they're afraid I'll start talking again.
Nothing? Nobody? Wayne, any comments? We talked earlier.
No, I think my understanding is the sort of the deliverable from tonight's meeting would be vote to vote for a letter of support to recommend CPA funding for the restoration and preservation of the fence.
Correct.
I'm assuming if he didn't get it, he was gonna do the best due diligence to keep it intact. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, he, first discussion we ever had with him, like I said, he mentioned, oh, some people said maybe they take these. I said, no, you really, even though up close the fences certainly seen better days, it's an icon for that neighborhood. It really belongs with that house, not only from an aesthetic standpoint, but what it's the story. I mean, it was made right across the street. The whole reason that area became a historic district was the foundries in that area. So, but yeah, so he would have painted it and welded a couple things, bolted a couple things together. I mean, there's so many, the bottom, and it would have lasted. You could get another, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years. I mean, the fence is so heavy duty. The pieces are so unique, but without a preservation restriction on it, he's going to be selling the units. Whoever the property owners are, they'll have the condo association. They could take it down the next day if they wanted to. There'd be
Right.
no protection of it, and they're like, it's all broken, and they're who knows? The people that purchase may love it and appreciate it. They may not.
So I have a comment actually on this
Well,
because I actually appreciate the historic part of this project, but in other hand, I see this fence gonna be repaired. It's gonna be so much, but so nice, but it requires a lot of fund behind of that. And this fence finishes on this property. So I assume that I'm expecting from the owner to share more funds on this, because at the end he gets the benefits of this as well. Even we preserve, the historic side of things, but that's some sort of addition to the value of that property. So for that reason, I think it's better. I don't know if there is a way to do that, to ask him to put more money on this, as part of this, project that he's benefiting already to get 2 lots, two more, residences there. That brings definitely money to him. And so this goes to be added to that too. So that's my opinion.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I mean, can I respond to that, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I would just say, Majid, that what I was trying to point out is Mr. Lincoln in this neighborhood has already invested several $100,000 in the form of he's engineering and constructing. I'm sorry, he's not engineering, but he's giving the land, and he's going to be constructing the lights, the traffic lights at the intersection of Paquantucket and Foundry. He's also giving up land for the bike lanes and all. He is on the exterior of this building spending quite a bit to go back to the historical trim, which whether now or maybe up the road, it would affect the sales price for the people that own the condos now. I don't think he'll see a bump in that price right now, nor he would with the fence. And he was upfront, and I understand it. Working in real estate, for what he can sell these for, he's doing these old houses are expensive to renovate. He's in there now. We were in there the other day. He found there's a well right in the middle of the house. He didn't know. Now he has to fill that and make it safe. So there's quite, you know, and he's around the yard as he went through the site plan process for the 2 lots. He's adding quite a bit of landscaping to the neighborhood and the garages. So, you know, I knew, just being familiar with the numbers from my line of work, you know, there was just no way he could absorb the you know, 273,000 and have it make any sense. I felt we did well getting 23,000 out of him. And often on CPA projects, we do look sometimes for a 50-50 match or more, but that's not a precedent. There's been plenty of projects that haven't. And again, I think it's important to point out, it wasn't Rick Lincoln that hatched the idea to go to CPA. It was residents. It was historically minded residents. And I think I look at it a little differently. I think preserving this fence, I think this is a really special relic that we can bring back to its glory, and really help establish a fantastic historical district here. And again, I think it's the reason we have CPA. So anyways, I think I've said my piece on that.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so the ask here is, I believe, that we write a letter to CPA, CPC, supporting this ask for the $283,000.
For $260,000.
$260,000.
That's what
right.
the ask is.
Yeah,
260.
he's in for 23. So, Wayne, am I correct there? We get a motion on that?
I think so. And does this match what Greg would be asking for, or the group's understanding? Motion and a second that the historical commission vote to vote to recommend the CPA or the CPC vote to support the CPA application for
Yes, we vote, yeah.
$260,000 to restore and preserve the historic iron fence at 555 Boundary Street.
Exactly, a vote to support them. Yeah, okay. So that would be it. Let's take a vote, please.
Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion to accept the proposed letter by Wayne. So we need a motion.
I'll make
Somebody-
a motion.
Okay, so Bishop motioned. Thank you. A second?
I'll
Curly
second it.
second.
Oh,
Whoever.
sorry, Tim. Sorry.
Curly, whoever.
Early seconded. Okay. Roll call vote.
Hurley, yes.
Bishop, yes.
Strange eye. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you got me, Wayne, right?
All right. Actually, Lashkari, I abstain. I don't vote on this.
And we got Mickey.
Wolf, yes.
Okay,
That's
so it's
everybody.
Hurley, yes, Bishop, yes, Strange, yes, Wolf, yes, and Lashkari abstain, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then I'll draft up a letter, run it by Tim, and forward it to the CPC ahead of the Thursday meeting.
Thank you. Greg.
Much appreciated.
Greg.
Yeah.
Back to the 2 houses. I believe Historic is supposed to have an approval on that.
No, not by the letter of it. But didn't we review the plans, right?
All we had was we had a very early draft that day. We were
Right.
out there.
I thought he
It
was
was
going to
quite-
send us.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a
something
lot
else
more.
showing a little more period correctness to these 2.
Right, right.
Excuse me.
You know, I kind of assume we should get a look at that at least before.
Yeah, I can have them. Do you have those, Wayne? Yeah, I'll get a copy of them. I can get a copy.
Yeah,
of them.
I mean, that's definitely, I mean, we're trying to do this. I think that's
Sure.
a fair.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've put that to rest. What else is on there, Wayne, is the citizen?
Sure. Yeah, because I think, Tim, you're toggling between the agenda on your phone and the actual
Yes.
meeting.
Yes,
Yeah, so the next up.
Citizen
would be
Academy.
the Citizens Academy. There's a link in folks' agenda. I would encourage you all to click on that, look at it, and then spread it around. The idea is, helping the citizens of Easton understand how the town is governed and run. As people on this commission know, the town is essentially run by volunteer boards and commissions. And how do you bring in new people? How do you help people understand how to exercise their power as citizens? So the intent of this is to educate folks and to frankly recruit some new members. If people are interested in joining boards and commissions in the future. So there's a very short application process. They're basically interested in anyone who's interested in signing up to do it. So I think their applications are due in the next couple of weeks, but I would encourage you to share it with your friends, your social network, and encourage folks who might be interested in participating in the town and its governance to give it a look.
And again, we're looking for youth, which is
Anybody,
all relative.
Yeah, sort of the shorthand I use is, who's the farm team.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you. Next is the schedule for 2022. Does anyone have a conflict? Second Tuesday, fourth Tuesday, we've usually held the second is our primary and fourth if we needed it. Tuesday at 6:30. Does this still work for everybody, or is there?
Yeah, should we just do one meeting a month and then see if we need one? Would it be the Tuesdays at 6:30? Other days work better for people?
I've always been good with that Tuesday 6:30.
Yeah, Tuesday's fine.
Except when the Red Sox play. That's the only time that Tuesday's bad for me. When I go to the
It
game.
works for me too.
Okay. Well, let's look at the schedule and then I don't know if baseball is ever going to happen this year. I hope it does, but anyhow.
Nikki, would a Tuesday at 6:30 work for you?
No, but they never have Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm playing softball all summer, so I can make them.
That's right.
Yeah, I can make them 9 months out of the year. And the other 3, you just got to forgive me.
Is there a reason we can't do Wednesdays?
Nope.
No,
So we could do Wednesday, 6 o'clock, 6:30.
6:30 works better for me, but
I think that's always
Okay.
been the sweet spot, 6:30.
Okay, so I'm hearing Wednesday, 6:30. So there's some other boards and commissions that meet and, we don't want to schedule on top of each other. So just a regular monthly meeting, Wednesday at 6:30, first Wednesday, second Wednesday, third Wednesday, fourth Wednesday.
I'd
No one
say
cares?
whatever you could do, Wayne, whatever doesn't step on other toes.
Okay,
The only other guy, we got to check with John to make sure.
that's
I mean,
right.
that's very
And
important.
Amy, and see if it works for Amy.
Yes, as well.
I'm pretty sure it works for Amy. I think their bike, they do Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think, but it changes every year.
Yeah, I think that's what she said when she said she
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be able to
So-
make this one.
So Mickey,
Mhm.
we're going to need a schedule. We're going to go to your games. Obviously.
Oh, awesome. Every Tuesday down at Ames Park in Sharon. There's
Nice.
just a bunch of people playing. It is the most kind of ragtag, most fun. So it's not competitive. It took me a while to get used to it, but it's super fun
God.
now.
Yeah.
It's just get out and you just play until it gets
Fun.
dark.
Cool.
Nice, very nice.
Cool.
All right, so I will confirm with Amy and John, but we're looking at a regular Wednesday, whether it be first, second, third, or fourth of the month at 6:30. And as a heads up, meetings are, I believe, going to be virtual for several more months, but the governor's amendment has only extended that to, I think, July, and then there's a possibility that they may go back to being in person. So just as a heads up that, as summer and fall roll around, we might be looking at actual physical meetings, and they may be here at Town Hall if rooms are available, or we might be at Frothingham or Queesit House or something like that.
All right. We'll
but
work
just
out
give
those.
people a heads up.
That'll work out. That'd be fine.
Thank you. And then our last thing And then Tim and I were talking about this. There are several preservation restrictions that are held by the town under the sort of care and oversight of the Historical Commission. And Tim and I, for a couple of years, went and monitored the preservation restriction for the shovel works. I know that Amy and a former commission member, Ben, had done some preservation restriction monitoring at, I believe, the church, Trinity, and also, what is it, Union Hall, I think it is, Harmony Hall. And possibly the library. There's also a couple of others. Preservation restrictions, if they're just from the town, they last for 30 years. If they're signed by the state, they're perpetual. They're almost always written so that they're still enforceable even if you never actually monitor them. But obviously a best practice is to check in periodically on the property that the restriction is protecting to see if there's been anything significantly changed, and just, sort of monument that you've checked in. So, to that end, Tim was suggesting that we talk about setting some kind of a preservation restriction monitoring schedule to see if folks would be interested in doing that. We have a little form that people fill out. You basically just make contact with the people, let them know you're coming. Almost all the stuff is on exterior, so you just let them know, and preservation restrictions are usually written that you just have to inform them you're coming. You don't need their actual affirmative permission to be on the property. You can just let them know and then show up. Take a few photos and document any changes, or usually nothing's actually changed. So Tim, how do we want to do that? Do we want to talk about that now? Do we want to see if people are interested in doing that?
Well, I think it's March, we're not talking, probably 2 or 3 months before this happens. So I think it's just having people's thoughts. Do you have a list that you can easily publish of all the?
Oh yeah, I can forward folks a list of, I think there's
why don't we do that?
that we're supposed to look at.
Yeah, if there's something that piques somebody's interest that they say, hey, I've never been on that one, I think I'll go take a look, kind of twofold. It's not, there's no discussion or anything else. It's strictly a visual. We're not, it's not a meeting. There's no nothing. It's a pretty, it's nice. It's, you get out for a couple hours and, get to see the properties. So yeah, I think, if you want to do that, Wayne, if somebody's up for it.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
up for it anyway.
So my action item will be, I'll email the group a list of the preservation restrictions that the town holds, and a template of what a monitoring form looks like. I think we've got that from when Tim and I, and also Amy and Ben were doing these previous. And I don't know if Mickey ever did one of these. Okay, yeah, it was just Amy and Ben. Yeah, I'll send that around.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And that,
I think that's
anything
it.
else? Yeah, anything else? Anybody, anything else?
No, not me.
Seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
And
Seconded.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Hurley, second by Wolf. Roll
Hurley,
call
aye.
vote.
Yeah.
Hurley, aye.
Lashkari, yes.
Bishop, yes.
Wolf,
Maybe
yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're adjourned at 7:21.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
All
Thank you,
right.
everybody.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You as well. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.